What we've seen from this week of games is that time in the season where the whole narrative can change for absolutely anybody and anyone. Liverpool Sunderland. Ooh, where to start? Where to start on this one here? I have to say, I'm not as discouraged and frustrated as what I feel like I've seen and heard from a bunch of Liverpool fans and content creators online, and even Jamie Carragher last night commentating. I understand it. We're used to certain levels and standards that absolutely need to be hit, no question. I'm not debating that. It's not good enough, right? It's not good enough going from Premier League champions to where you are. And we can talk about the money, and you can throw in those digs as fans and pundits and media journalists, and I get all that. However, I want to start with the positive is that it felt like there was more confidence in Liverpool. We didn't crumble when it went 1-0 down, and we didn't lose. And I think in the short term, as a manager, that is something you'll take as a positive. I didn't feel like the frailty was there. We come back, and I honestly feel like we were on course to get that second goal and get that winner at Anfield. It was pretty buzzing. So I'll take those as small little positives, right? The reality of where Liverpool are right now, I think those small things I just said are little wins, little small baby steps, and that's the reality of where it is, right? On the flip side to that, still a lot of individual mistakes. Van Dijk's at fault for the goal, no question. He's been a little bit poor. Is his head a bit gone with Konate next to him? Konate's getting a lot of flack. Konate's not great again last night. A lot of things about McAllister moving the ball slowly. Yeah, I get it. I think Liverpool as a whole moved the ball really slowly. I think my biggest concern, and I've said this, and I did it when I got the tactics board out, or the board out a couple of weeks ago, I think almost worse than your team being really shit, like Wolves at the bottom of the table sometimes. I think that one thing that's worse than that is your team not looking like they know how to create chances to score goals. I always used to find that really boring and really frustrating, and at the very least I used to think, well, someone just ping it from outside the box. And I know that's kind of like last resort and all that, and it's meaning you can't break them down. But that's a big worry for me for Liverpool. Slot talked in his press conference after the game, and he mentioned Cody Gakpo getting the ball, and he didn't feel like Cody could get past players 1v1 like he wanted him to. And I'm listening to that interview, and I'm thinking, in all the times we've had Cody Gakpo here, I don't think he's a great 1v1 player to get past people. He does the Coutinho-esque cut inside onto that right foot and try and bend it into the corner. And even as of right now, those bends into the corner are lifted balls to the back post every time. He rarely takes his man on down the line. It's very predictable when you're Sunderland, you're going to sit in a low block, right? You're happy if he just cuts across the box. There's loads of your players there to defend it. It's going to be something special to beat the goalkeeper. And even Slot said that, I'm looking for something special, but he alluded to kind of Cody Gakpo being that main man. And I've felt that a lot this season, that he's looked at Gakpo to be quite a big spark for Liverpool going forwards. And I just don't think he's that player. And I'm not trying to just bash on Cody Gakpo. I'm not like his biggest fan. I get what he does. I liked how it worked last season with him and Luis Diaz. But I don't think he's your starting star, bring a spark player. I think he's a good squad team player that can absolutely add to a Premier League title winning team, which he already has done. But he's not Luis Diaz. He's not Mo Salah, and Salah used to be able to take people on 1v1 with his pace. And Liverpool just lack that in the wide areas. There's no one that can get at people and get past people. And even Salah comes on yesterday. You know, he's dropped again, which is a big call, but I think probably the right call. Not that I think he's been the problem, but he's not offering much. I don't think he offers much again there yesterday. Again, I'm still so confused as to what the role of Liverpool's number 9 is to do. Isak's finish is prime example of get him in the box, but we get the ball and we just want to just cross it into the box all the time. And it's like, is that really the plan? I don't think we have anyone built for that. Like, if you want to go get someone that does that, you've got Haaland, you've got Voltemada. It's not really the Liverpool way, and I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in him with regards to that part of the pitch. I think other areas are getting better and is being coached better. I don't think it's great. There's still mistakes there, but there was little pressing moments last night where we get the ball back quickly and we win it high. Van Dijk steps up, wins some headers in there, and we keep the ball, which I liked. But it's that final third area that's just quite frankly boring and slow and predictable. Look, we've spent a lot of money, in particular in attacking areas. We need players with pace in those areas that can get by people 1v1. And I know there's not always those those tons of opportunities when teams sit a bit deeper against you, but teams are not fearing Liverpool as much anymore, and it's going to allow a bit more space, and we need to have those pacey attacking wingers to get by people 1v1. And I think that we see, like, he went on a lot about PSG last season. I mean, their three forwards are prime example for that. Kind of Real Madrid-esque, isn't it? Like, get the front through the ball and let them run at people and make things happen. And then the flip side of that, as he alludes to, you need 11 players to defend off the ball in the Premier League, and you need to find wingers that are able to do that. So I really think that's where Liverpool are lacking. I really think that's where they've gone wrong in the recruitment, and I really think it's hampering us going forwards. But positive is baby steps. Didn't crumble after going 1-0 down. And by the way, Sunderland, who have beaten Chelsea this season, drew with Arsenal. They played City yet this season? I think they have City this weekend potentially, no? They got City coming up soon anyway. Yeah, it's just, it's tough. I thought Florian Wirtz, the game and the team should start to go through him. I think if the plan is for life without Salah and it's not working with Salah, you just go ahead and you have to just bite the bullet and get that going now, which I think he's trying to do. There's a couple of little things between him and McAllister that I do like. So not all doom and gloom. It's just where Liverpool are at, and that's the reality of it, and it's back to basics and a draw after going 1-0 behind against a decent Sunderland team. Unfortunately, we're going to have to take. So that'll be that. Tuesday night, City have that mad game against Fulham. Obviously, posted my video about that. I had that down as a 1-1 game there. I also said that Fulham were a team that trouble City, and I think after having an actual look into it, I don't think City have lost to them in the last 14 games. So there you go. Probably one for a little bit more of a dive in and research in terms of that. But I don't know, Fulham just always felt like City's bogey team. I mean, I feel like Wolves, my dad always used to say where Liverpool were Wolves' bogey team, and I used to always look up the stats and be like, we always beat them, but you just always feel like someone's a bogey team, whether it's right or wrong. Chaotic, I think it symbolises everything that City are now. I think that's a lot of Pep Lijnders. It's that chaos, Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp, Pep Lijnders type style and type team that Pep's gone away from that control idea of constantly having the game under control. The game has changed and developed. So I think fair play to him for trying to adapt and trying to grow himself and maybe let go of that, because I think that would be a difficult thing for him to let go, because that's really been the core basis of everything that he's done. Look, they're going to be the great entertainers, Man City, potentially this season. It's certainly not a lot of straightforward games, but that typically doesn't get you a league title. And as much as they are now 5 points still off of Arsenal, and they put the question to Arsenal, who answered it, which I'll get into in a second. Yeah, I still think they're a bit too ropey at the back and just a bit too basketball-y, back and forthy at the moment. And I think, though, if Pep Guardiola stays there with Lijnders, they're going to find that middle ground at some point, right? It's the thing that we said Arsenal have found with the defensive set-piece stuff, as well as kind of a bit more free-flow, and they've found that balance there. And I think Pep and Pep Lijnders will eventually land on that at some point. I'm just not quite too sure if it's going to be this season, and I still do think they need to add some goals off the sides. Same as what I just said about Liverpool with those wingers. I've seen a couple of times Savinho gets the ball, and I like the look of him, but he loses it. He's not a output merchant, is he? And I think you need that a little bit more alongside Erling Haaland, who obviously, as we know, is going to get you loads of goals and probably could have had 2 or 3 or more hitting the post and hitting the crossbar. So chaotic won that. Yeah, they asked the question of Arsenal. I thought that might be a bit of a tricky one for Arsenal. I seen it was 1-0, going deep into the game, and I thought, is there potential for Brentford to get something in this narrative to flip and the pressure to go on Arsenal? But Saka comes on and he gets the winner right at the end to make it 2-0, and that's the perfect scoreline in football, isn't it? As a football fan, that's really what you want. That 2-0 scoreline, clean sheet for your team. Maybe didn't feel totally comfortable, watch the highlights, but all in all, Arsenal were asked the question and they did answer it. And fair play to them, and fair play to Mikel Arteta, and credit to him and the team, because he did rotate a few players there, and they go there and they get the win, and they got to come back to it the weekend and back that up. And again, if they do, there's the little draw against Chelsea. They're looking a little leggy and a little tired, which is going to happen, but you then re-answer that with a win, and then you can get another win, and then we head into the Champions League again next week, midweek. So really, really big from them and impressive, and they're not letting up, and that squad depth is really starting to show for them there too. So that was good for them. And look, it's only 5 points though, so the narrative can still flip. You feel like they should probably be more points ahead, and could that be a bit of a downfall if they do just kind of stay with touch and distance to, in particular, Man City and maybe anyone else that can try and catch them up? I doubt there'll be anybody else in there. We'll talk about Chelsea in a second, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe they should have more points on the board, but it does feel as if they've got the squad depth and their squad's deep enough to be able to handle it. So fair play to them. And he made a really interesting comment in his press conference before the game, Arteta, and they asked him about, Donnarumma going down in the game beforehand during the week for City to get points and how teams are kind of following you with your kind of time wasting and that type of stuff. And Arteta said, at the highest level, you're looking for any edge that you can get to get a win on people and to get over on people. And in my opinion, the game should catch up and the rules should catch up to what teams are doing to then stop that. So he's basically saying, look, like the rules in that are we can do it. Whatever everyone's doing with all this time wasting stuff that we all keep talking about a lot this season, I feel he's right. Like it's not there's no consequence to it, right? So how do you do that? And it's a way of playing, and every team does it, and there's a time and a place for it. 100%, absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I've definitely done it myself, playing and coaching and stuff like that. But yeah, he's not wrong. The rules in the game probably need to catch up to that, and we're seeing that a lot in the Premier League. It's that more like that's kind of like deemed as more of a bit of a foreign thing, isn't it? Like a Spanish thing or maybe a South American thing, that kind of time wasting, rolling around on the ground. I'm not saying that they all do that. I'm just saying that's kind of what it gets tied to, isn't it? And it's happening a lot in the Premier League, and it's becoming a league with a lot of stop-starts and set pieces and stuff like that. So interesting comments from Arteta on there. Chelsea and Leeds, I felt as if Chelsea were going to throw one in. It was just two very, very good performances, and everyone starts to get a bit excited about Chelsea, and here we go, and everything. But I still don't like the defence. I don't like the goalkeeper. There's a lot of chopping and changing. I think that they're just not quite ever going to be settled, and they throw it in there against Leeds, who will be absolutely buzzing with that win. And I did just feel it. I didn't quite get the score right. I said 2-1. It ends up being 3-1. But I did just feel it. I mean, it's a terrible third goal to give away, isn't it? Playing out the back. But again, that's something I think Chelsea can and will continue to do over the course of the season. And now, typically, when Chelsea have done this in the last kind of year, 18 months, is you might see them go on a couple of game poor run now, and they'll kind of drop back down the table, and then they'll get themselves back up into the mix in the top four. I think they'll be in the top four, okay, depends on how that's looking and the pressure and everything and where they are in the Champions League and stuff come that time. But yeah, just inconsistency, and I think that's Chelsea, and that's one thing that I didn't like from Maresca last season when he did get asked about, are you in the title race, and he did shoot it down, and like, I get it, but I don't know, all the big characters, all the big guys, they've got balls, right? They go for it, and I think sometimes you have to recognize a moment, and I just ever since then have felt like, I don't know for the absolute top, but look, he's kind of relatively newish in this whole management thing, isn't he? Right? He's been at Leicester after working with Pep, and then he's at Chelsea. So it's a new manager, and it's time and kind of able to kind of get Chelsea mixing it really, really in at the top end. But it's a poor one from them. So moving into Scotland, Hearts last night. I watched the majority of the first half and about 10 minutes of the second half. Looked pretty solid. They got the goal. Shanklin puts them 1-0 up, and I didn't think Kilmarnock were particularly like battering them or anything from what I seen. And then as I loaded up the score, knowing that the game would be finished on live score, and I seen Kilmarnock got that last minute equaliser. I seen Celtic had beat Dundee in Martin O'Neill's last game, and I just felt like, it's another killer blow to Hearts, and it's a last minute equaliser against you, and it just kind of sucks that energy out of you even more. And that Celtic now well and truly in the driving seat with Hearts to go to Celtic Park, and it will be the new manager in charge on Sunday. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of a dive into him and see what he's all about and look at his team. And I'm looking forward to that game. But again, Hearts fans, it's a really difficult one, isn't it? Like, you've got to understand there's ebbs and flows in this title race stuff. But Celtic, typically, now that they've got themselves back going, are probably going to pretty much beat everybody in the league. Maybe bar Rangers themselves, because those games are always just, going to throw ones in there with how big they are. So as Hearts, you've only lost one game, you've only drawn a few, and you feel like you've had a really good season, and yet it just feels like Celtic have hunted you down and are going to overtake you again, and that's quite a hard thing to grasp. But keep it going, keep trying to get those wins in there and stay in the mix. Don't totally crumble, because it would be a shame. But I think, 2 seasons in a row now, we've had this in Scotland, and it's at least made it somewhat exciting and eyes on it and things like that, and if we can just have Hearts stay in the mix and learn off it and continue to grow off it, then we'll see. I still do think if McInnes can keep them there, he has a chance, but it's just so difficult against Celtic. And look, I want to touch on Martin O'Neill, because I said this a few videos ago about how a man can be so far removed from being in the game itself, right? And you probably would consider very old school and maybe you would maybe use those words, dinosaur and things like that. For him to come in and do what he's done at Celtic, and I know if people see this, they'll think, well, Scotland and it's Celtic, like, it's easy. But it's not, right? Like, it's not. Like, Celtic were on just a bit of a weird path, and you could be so out of touch with the game that it might not work. And I always think that Martin O'Neill speaks really, really well about football, and he talks about a lot of really just kind of basic things that aren't too deep and too analytical, and just the real kind of nuts and bolts of the game, that kind of Sunday league stuff, as to why we all fell in love with it. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, and I think he's done a great job, and fair play to him, and he'll be very happy with that, and I'm sure the Celtic board will be extremely happy with that, because he's got Celtic right back in the mix with Hearts, and yeah, fair play to him, and I just think that's fascinating that a manager can come and do that. Dundee United beat Rangers. I said Danny Role was on a roll. It's a draw against Falkirk. It's a loss at home. It's all right. You're going to go through a little bit of a sticky patch, but he needs to get that back up and running again, and not let that whole thing that he's built at the start already just totally crumble. I haven't managed to catch highlights or anything like that in terms of the game, so I'm not too sure with it there, but poor result for him. But yeah, just overall, Celtic, it just feels imminent that they might start to run away with it, and Hearts have to do everything they can, and Sunday's an interesting one to be able to try and get something out of them at Celtic Park. That's game of the weekend, isn't it? Looking forward to that one. Was that Sunday at 3 o'clock or something? We'll see. But I think that'll do it. I'm going to do a separate weekend predictions video. I'm not going to do like a preview looking ahead. This is kind of the in-between kind of wrap-up / preview stuff. This video right here. So prediction video will be out around about lunchtime again tomorrow, as always, for you guys. I'm going to start maybe doing a little something for the subscribers, where you guys can kind of come in and try and beat me at the predictions. You know, maybe 5 points for the absolute correct result. 3 if you say Arsenal are going to win 1-0, but they win 3-0. You know, and we'll see who gets that. Maybe get a little prize or something just to get a little bit of fun going now that the season's really into gear. I want to add those things in there. So, as always, drop your thoughts on everything I've said, comments, please. I want to get you guys engaging. We're on the road to 500. I'm trying to get this YouTube channel up to 500 subscribers. I've been working at it for a very long time. You know, really just mainly this year, January, is when I've made a full, real, proper run at it. And it's progressed to me just filming on my iPhone, to using the studio with podcasts and guests, to finally coming here in the shed, which is going to take another upgrade. You know, it's just money and stuff to be able to buy things. It's going to take another upgrade and really turn it into a set. And I want to get coaches on consistently, and footballers and people that are involved in football, whatever that may be, and consistently as well, because I get tired of hearing my own voice, and it was never the plan just to be a YouTuber and come on here and speak like this. I'm going to start doing some live streaming of some games. Maybe not watching the whole thing, but kind of live streaming for the last 10 minutes and then kind of going into it and talking about it all on YouTube. So we're going to dive into that as well. So yeah, just like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. Please get them going. Any improvements I can make, please let me know. It's a quick turnaround. We're on Thursday and the games are all back again straight away on Saturday. So it's a busy week before Champions League and Europa League's back during the week next week. So as always, until the next one, have a good one. Peace.